I'd like to talk about the paradigm shift that we're going through as a society, as a planet, in fact, and also as individuals, because really those things aren't connected: individual, society, and planet, global community, global economy, global environment. Those things are all connected. And I suppose really that's what I want to talk about: connectedness. Because our current dying way of looking at ourselves and at life and the world is one of disconnection, one of a universe of, almost seemingly infinite numbers of separate things. Every grain of sand, every car, every human, every animal, every book, every atom. We cut reality so small that it became atoms, and then even further, and they didn't even know what it became at that point. So I suppose what it seems to me is happening at the moment is that a way that is no longer working is beginning to break down, and there's a bit of a last gasp of a dying way. Paradigm shifts have happened throughout human history. It's nothing special about this day and age. It's just that we happen to be living at a time when one's happening. And that's fine. Life is always changing. It's just that we like to convince ourselves that it isn't, because we don't like the idea that things are ungraspable. Like trying to hang on to a fish that's come out of the water. It's wriggling, and we try to grab them, but we can't, because it's very difficult to. It's moving. It's like trying to grab onto a rope sliding through your hands. If you grab, you're gonna hurt yourself. And but inevitably, unfortunately, that is how we currently operate when faced with change, uncertainty, fear. We tend to cling, we tend to tighten, and the sense of disconnection becomes even more acute. We feel more isolated, more lonely, and it's a vicious cycle. The more lonely you are, the less likely you will be to take steps to reduce that. The more fear that you feel, the more you start to act on fear, and acting from a place of fear is not the way to end fear. So essentially there's so many things happening in us as individuals, in the world, and those two things aren't separate. It's just that when we speak, we have to divide things into this and that. But fundamentally, everything is everything in the universe, and the universe itself is essentially a non-dual system, a unified system. There's not really any such thing as a true and deep separateness in reality, but there is the sense of separate things, separateness. But if you look closely, even science can tell you that nothing's really separate. It's just there are things there are systems and fields, and they interact with each other more or less, and that's basically it. That's basically as good as we've got from a scientific point of view to describe the world of matter. The world that doesn't really seem to matter to many people, because it's the one that we're destroying, ironically. So connection. What is connection? Connection is love, friendship, forgiveness, humility. Connection is to be sensitive to life, to look at a tree, or right now I've got a sapling on my windowsill, to see that and not just see the mental image that I have accumulated over my lifetime of what that is, but to see that completely, almost to feel that, to feel its life contacting mine, to feel this contact occurring between different elements of life, and not instantly snap it down into an idea. Good, bad, tree, rock, ugly, beautiful. Connection takes humility, because if I come to you, but I'm bringing all of my past, all of my anxieties, all of my fears, all of my ambitions, all of my desires, and I try to connect with you, well, it's not really trying to connect at all, is it? I'm bringing in myself. I'm bringing in self-centeredness when I interact with you, and we just naturally don't like that as people. You know, if someone comes up to you on the street trying to sell you something, you can just sense the selfishness of that person a mile off, because they're coming at you with an agenda. The truth is that we all have agendas. We're always walking around with our agendas. You know, there's a Zen tale of a soldier who visits a Zen monk or master in Japan, and he asks the master to teach him Zen. And the Zen master says, "Yeah, sure, let's sit down and I can teach you Zen." And the monk starts to pour the soldier some tea. And as it approaches the top of the cup, the master keeps pouring. And of course the tea starts to fall everywhere. And the soldier's like, "What on earth are you doing? You know, it's flowing everywhere. You're going to make a mess." And the Zen master says, like this cup, you are full of your own ideas. You are full of your own ambitions, desires. You are full of all your own mental content. How am I to show you Zen if you are so full? And it's interesting we have that phrase in English, to be full of oneself, because that really is what it is. We're all full of ourselves, full of our ideas, our dreams. You know, I want to do this with my life. I regret this in my past. I want my life to be this way. I don't like that person. We have so many things going on in our minds and in our hearts, and it gets in the way of us actually living. So there's a few thoughts, there's a few realizations that I've had, but I'd love to hear yours. You tell me what you think and what you've learned, and I hope that in this space that I'm creating, we can build some sense of community, we can build some sense of connection.